What is good, everybody? It is your boy Gator J. New channel, new place, new home. This is Club Fantasy. This is the first post NFL Combine rookie mock draft. I've got my boy Joe Worth in the house. As you see right behind him, we are in Joe's draft lab right now, enjoying some rookie content. Joel, how we doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Good to see you. It's mock time. Let's fire it up. Combine's over. We're ready to move on, get some draft capital, and see where these guys are going to fall. But yeah, it's an exciting time for Dynasty.
This is probably the best time of year between now and the NFL draft because we get to play the guessing game, right? Like, what do we want? What do we think is going to happen? Because once the draft happens, we already know that Arthur Smith's going to screw somebody up in Pittsburgh.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the fun time where anything is possible. So yeah, good. This is kind of the meat of the season for Dynasty.
Well, as we say, then let's get this mock going here. I'm going to start the mock off, and I am sitting in the 101 spot here. Let me turn the sound off of the phone. Mute the sound. I was talking to you right before this, and I was probably the most vocal about being out on Caleb Williams as a quarterback himself. I had to go and look at the numbers and realize that, the numbers actually say that he's not as bad as I thought he did. But with that being said, I'm still at the 101, even in a Superflex tight end premium mock. I am taking, that happened right there, didn't it? Let's remove that. And let me get my guy that I wanted there, Marvin Harrison Jr. I wanted at the 101, I want somebody that is going to be all but a lock. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think Harrison is the best prospect in this class. I don't think it's particularly close, even with the value premium on quarterbacks. Harrison is, like I've said on the Dynasty After Party show, that I think he is the best wide receiver prospect since Calvin Johnson. So he's elite in every way possible. So yeah, I think he's the best and safest prospect. So I have zero problem with taking him number one, even in a Superflex.
Well, as we said before, the combine just ended. I know you and Josh were talking this morning about a lot of the players going through the positional groups and things like that. What was the one person that stood out to you the most in the combine? And basically what I want to know is who gained the most draft stock in your mind?
I think the one who gained the most is obviously going to be Xavier Worthy, even though he had the monster of the record 40, but beyond that, he had a really good, just overall athletic testing. His standing high jump was exceptional. His broad jump was exceptional. So yeah, I think he clearly moved himself from kind of a mid to early second rounder to well into the first round. So I think he was probably the biggest gainer.
Back into the first round. So Kansas City Chiefs are getting their wide receivers.
Probably, yep, okay. Exactly. I think that's right around where he'll go.
Well, as we get going here, we're talking about two of the wide receivers off the board here in Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors. You had Daniels go the first quarterback off the board at 1-2. Caleb Williams at 1-4. Brock Bowers coming off. This is a tight end premium. Bowers coming off at 105. Anything outside of the maybe the backwardsness of the quarterback position there with Daniels coming off before Williams surprised you so far in these first 5 picks?
No, not really. I think there's going to be people who like Daniels more just because he's more of the run, probably has more rushing upside than Caleb Williams does, and he's got that Konami code kind of upside. So I'm not going to be super surprised to see him go ahead of Williams. I don't think that's what's going to happen in most drafts, but I won't be surprised if it does.
Outside of the speed that he has, his size, what is it, 198, I believe it was, is what he measured in at. That Bryce Young kind of weight there. Does that surprise you at all, or does it bother you at all?
No, not really. We'll see what he weighs in at the pro day. I mean, that's still going to come up, so we'll have more information by the time the draft hits. He's taller than Bryce Young, so I don't think he's the kind of super outlier that Bryce Young was. So yeah, I'm not super concerned about it. It's it's a bit concerning, but I'm not going to overreact to that.
Tight end premium, you're expecting Brock Bowers to go in that top 5, top 6 area.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Roma Dunze at 1-6 there. I don't know if you saw this. I saw this today on Twitter, where he stayed after doing a 3-cone drill, trying to best the 6.6 seconds, I believe was the record that was set for that, and he did it a couple of times. I don't think he hit the mark there, but staying after on a combine to try to do that, I thought that was really cool of him to do that, and of course the cameras caught it. So what do you think about Rome Odunze going there at the 1-6?
I'm a tough guy to ask on that because I've been a huge Odunze fan for a couple of years now. So I thought he was like going into like kind of switching over the seasons. Like I had Odunze ahead of like Emeka Ibuka and guys like that. So I've been on him for quite a while. I've been a big fan. He is prototype boundary X receiver. So yeah, the fact that he can run that short shuttle and had that quickness and burst is really impressive. I'm a big fan. I would not be surprised to see him go like early in the top 10. I mean, you could legitimately see 3 receivers go in the top 6 or 7 picks of this draft.
Yeah, and in the first round, we saw 7 of them go. So with Harrison, Neighbors, Odunze, Thomas Jr., Franklin, Coleman, and Adonai Mitchell out of Texas there. To finish off that first round, you had Thomas at 1-7. Drake May fallen a little bit there, it seems like, at 1-8. J.J. McCarthy, who you picked up there at 1-9. Tony Franklin, Coleman, and Adonai Mitchell, as I mentioned. Talk about J.J. McCarthy. Well, actually, let's do this. William's got a quick question for us. Drake May starting to fall. Yikes. Any reasons why that you see Drake May falling or why he fell in this draft the way he did down to the 1-8 area?
I think there's just generally some question about how his game translates to the next level. He did have kind of small hands for a guy his size. I don't think it's a concern. It's not like a Kenny Pickett level concern, but I'm surprised he went this low in a Superflex draft. But I think there's just some general question. He's really young, and I think there's going to be a little bit of North Carolina quarterback staying on him after Trubisky and Howell. But whether that's fair or not, you can debate. That's kind of the Ohio State thing. I just don't know if he has that kind of elite upside that Williams and Daniels have. So yeah, I think he probably belongs closer. There's just so many elite prospects in this draft, like Harrison, Neighbors, Bowers, Odunze. Those are all just elite prospects at their position. Like I think they're better prospects at their position than May as a quarterback. So not terribly surprising that he would fall that far.
Then we had J.J. McCarthy, Franklin, Coleman, and Adonai to close out the first round. Those last 3 picks there, I'm going to skip over your J.J. McCarthy for just a quick second, but those last 3 picks with those wide receivers, Franklin, Coleman, Adonai Mitchell, do you see it happening in that order, number 1? And number 2, are you surprised that those are the 3 and Xavier Worthy fell from there?
A little bit. Franklin did not have a great combine. Coleman ran a really bad 40, but we talked about it on the show this morning. I think he's just a bad 40 runner, and I don't think that was really reflective of his football speed because he kind of nailed the gauntlet run where he was kind of tracked as the best fastest on GPS. So I'm a little surprised that Franklin went that high after his bad combine. I think he's going to fall. He was a guy that was kind of talked about in the late first, but I think he's going to fall kind of into the second round.
Yeah, and Coleman, to Andy's point here where he loves Franklin, or hey, yeah, you don't love Franklin, terrible contested catch guy. That's pretty much what Coleman's game is, though, right? He's a 50-50 ball guy, right?
Primarily, he's got that size to be able to do that. I think he's a little bit better than that. He's really young. He's only 20. So I think there's more growth to his game. But yeah, that's kind of the way he was primarily used. I think he's got more ability than that. But that was how he was used in college. Yeah.
And then let's talk about the second round real quick. I took Trey Benson, the first running back, off the board. Michael Penix went next. Xavier Worthy, Ladd McConkey is going to be moving up in this. He's moving up in the draft already after a stellar performance both at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine. Blake Corum going at the 2.5, Leggett at the 2.6, Jonathan Brooks, Wilson, wide receiver from, I believe it's Michigan, correct?
Yep.
And Polk.
Roman Wilson, that's
right. Polk. I'm not sure who Polk is now. You got to catch me up on who Polk is.
He's another receiver from Washington.
Okay. And then we had Lloyd, the running back from South Carolina. Wright, another running back, and we are sitting at the 212 currently. Let's talk about this second round here. What stands out to you to just right off the bat?
I guess I'll say that I don't think running back is going to go that high. And it's running back in this class is going to be like, pick your guy and who do you like? So whether it's Benson, Corum, Brooks, whoever, like you take 4 different drafts, you can see 4 different guys be the top running back. I think Worthy and McConkey and probably Penix, I think he's going to get the draft capital to kind of push him maybe into like if he gets like top 30, 35 draft capital, I think he belongs probably at the back end of the first round because I think he's going to be a starter wherever he goes if he gets that capital. Like this morning, I compared him. I think he's going to kind of go around where Will Levis went last year, like in the very early second. So, and if that had, given his age and how much experience he has in college, I think he's going to be an immediate starter.
I took Benson. I really like Benson, but it's truly a toss up for RB1 for me between Benson and Corum. I know you're a big Brooks guy, being from Wisconsin, correct?
Yeah, I do like Brooks a lot. I think he's the best prospect in this draft. The question of the ACL is going to linger over him. Mm-hmm. How effective is he going to be in year one? Is he going to be ready for training camp? Those are kind of open questions, but I think he's the best overall prospect. I do like Jalen Wright from Tennessee. Really put on a show at the Combine. Yes, not unexpected. He's a really good athlete. The question is going to be, can he carry a full NFL workload? He wasn't used that way at Tennessee. He was kind of split out or kind of split carries. So I compared him this morning. I think he's kind of an Aaron Jones guy. Aaron Jones never really got full workload in Green Bay. And it's kind of preserved his career. So it's probably a good thing. So yeah, if you're looking for like a bell cow, I don't think he's your guy, but super talented guy I really like.
I thought it was interesting. The comp that the NFL Network had for him was Alvin Kamara. Ironically, they both played at Tennessee. That's fair. They're almost exact same size, almost exact same 40 times. I mean, it was so close on everything. And I was like, that I immediately went, okay, because they both play at Tennessee. but ironically, size wise, they're very comparable. And then when you watch what Wright was able to do in Tennessee, it was again comparable to what Kamara was able to do when he was in Tennessee. Second tight end off the board, Sanders. What are you thinking here? And then we had back-to-back tight ends here in the third round here. In this tight end premium, are we pushing the tight ends too far down, or is there that big of a tier gap between these guys?
I like Sanders quite a bit. I think he's going to be a good receiving tight end. I think he'll be probably a better fantasy asset than real life asset, just because I don't think he's a great blocker. I think he's a decent blocker. You get some really wide opinions on him. Some people say he can block it and do it pretty well. Some people say he can't block at all. So I think that's interesting. I think he'll be fun, but his role is going to be kind of a split out tight end. So yeah, I think he'll be a valuable fantasy player if he gets to a spot where he kind of has the tight end role, that kind of wide receiving tight end role to himself.
Style of Kincaid, possibly in Buffalo.
Yeah, very, very much so. I think so. I don't think he's as good a prospect as Kincaid was, but I think he'll be a similar type player.
All right, then we go into the third round here, where I took Ricky Pearsall out of Florida, staying on brand, but I think a player that not only, again, had a great showing at the Senior Bowl, had a phenomenal combine as well. Then we had Bo Nix go at the 3-3 falling a little bit there. Maybe that's a little bit because of his age. Do you think he's going to stick around? How long do you think he lasts? Does he go to the third round here?
That's all going to depend entirely on his draft capital. Like if he goes somewhere where he's got a shot to be a starter, then he's going to go, he'll probably go up around where Penix went. If he goes to a place where he's going to be a developmental guy or a backup, then yeah, I think he falls into the third round in rookie drafts pretty easily.
And we had Allen there, running back, Bucky Irvin, who had a less than impressive combine.
Yep, pretty underwhelming.
That was the word of the day for you and Josh this morning. Underwhelming, which was that's not good. Not good.
For a guy whose game is going to be based on speed, he didn't really kind of light up the speed measurables. So a little disappointing for him.
We had the two tight ends we just talked about. Estime had a phenomenal 40 time. I believe it wasn't it Estime that had the good 40 time?
He actually did not run a good 40 time. He had some good footwork and shuttle drills, but yeah, his 40 time was not good. But he's a huge guy, so I don't think anyone really expected him to run a good 40s. Not surprising there.
So looking at this third round, surprises for you?
Yeah, Dallin Holker is interesting. I'm not sure I would take him that high. I don't. Again, that's going to depend on where he goes. I don't think he's going to get that kind of draft capital. Theo Johnson, we talked about him this morning. He kind of blew out the combine, had a 10 RAS score, which is basically perfect. And they kind of talked about him this morning. He's from Canada, so he wasn't recruited literally at all. He had to go to tryouts at Penn State. So I think that's a guy you're kind of betting on the come, that he's got development in him and can kind of take it up a notch at the next level.
Spencer Rattler going here in the fourth, I think is going to be a surprise player. He looked really, really good yesterday. And I think he moved his draft stock probably from a fourth to maybe late second, mid third, somewhere in that range. And I think he's going to be climbing up some people's draft boards as well, in my opinion. What do you think about Spencer Rattler and the day he had yesterday?
Yeah, had a really good Senior Bowl. Had a pretty solid combine. I'm not sure he has an NFL arm, but yeah, I think he's going to get it. He's going to get a job as a developmental quarterback, and there's going to be a lot of muscle memory back when, a couple of years ago when he was kind of the number one Devy guy. So I think people are still going to be holding on to that, and I think he's got a guy who's got a chance to kind of hang around and be a career solid backup.
Yeah, what's the guy that is a free agent this year from the Chiefs? He was a Buck, then he was a Chief. I mean, he's only made like $60 million as a career backup. It's Spencer Rattler. Yes. Yeah. Here's one that I thought was quite interesting, and I think the NFL Network even brought this up, but I think the NFL missed an opportunity yesterday. Joe Milton with the deep passes at the end. You're in Indianapolis. How do you not make the phone call to Anthony Richardson and say, hey, come throw 2 or 3 and let's see. Let's get a University of Florida, University of Tennessee in Indianapolis. Let's throw some deep balls just for the fans and have fun. How easy was it that Joe Milton was just flicking the ball 70 yards in the air?
That dude's arm is insane. I mean, he just, like you said, he just flicks the ball and it goes 75 yards. It's just a rocket, right? It's not just floating out there. He's just, man, that guy's got an arm. He's got no touch on anything but the deep ball. So yeah, he's a pretty limited prospect, but the first thing he can do things that no one else can.
The first pass he throws, he stands there and waits for the receiver to get 5 yards out before he even takes a step back. But one of the last ones he threw, he throws up the guns. Like as soon as the ball's in the air, he's like, that's done. It's in there. Just
his deep ball is spectacular. Yeah.
We just about to wrap this thing up. Wow, the draft just went flying by. Let's actually talk about this real quick. Go through each round and just who's somebody that's there maybe a reach in each round. Let's go that route. Marvin Harrison, Daniels, Neighbors, Williams, Bowers, Odunze, Thomas, May, McCarthy, Franklin, Coleman, and Adonai Mitchell was your first round. Who was the reach here?
The only one I would say that is probably not going to go in the first round is, like we mentioned, Troy Franklin. I don't think he's going to get that first round draft capital. So I think guys like Worthy and McConkey will go ahead of him in the first round of rookie drafts.
Let's just play
and
devil's
possibly
advocate.
Penix.
Let's just play devil's advocate. Let's pick either the Worthy or McConkey, Coleman, and Adonai Mitchell. We know Franklin's going behind these guys. Which order are you putting those four players in with Worthy, McConkey, Coleman, Mitchell?
With the obvious caveat that it's going to depend on draft capital, I would have them Coleman, Mitchell, Worthy, McConkey.
So just the way they are now, and you drop Franklin. Okay. All right. Second round goes Benson, Penix, Worthy, McConkey, Corum, Leggett, Brooks, Wilson, Polk, which is your guy, so we know you're not going to say he's the reach. Lloyd, Wright, and Sanders. Who's the reach here? And it's okay if you say it's Benson.
No, I think that's, like we said, once we take a running back, it's just going to depend on, like, there's no obvious top prospect, so it's going to depend on who you like. So, and that's probably where the top running back is going to go. So I'm not going to call that a reach. I like Benson as well. There's other guys I like ahead of him. I think probably the reach here is Corum, because I don't think he helped himself yesterday or at the combine. Measured short as we expected, didn't really, for a guy his size, you would expect him to run a better 40, only ran in the 4.5s. And just, I think there were some guys who passed him up, like Wright was one of them, Isaac Garendo, who we'll talk about in the fourth round, who I got kind of stymied on, got taken right in front of me. I think some of those guys kind of passed him up. So I think that's going to end up being a little bit early for him.
Yeah, but his footwork in those drills was really, really good. Really good.
I don't think he's going to get the draft capital that would justify taking him at what's that, 17 overall.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of them when it comes to the running back. That's excuse me, is going to be late third, somewhere in that third round is where these running backs are going to end up going.
Yep. The
NFL has done told us they don't like running backs.
Very much so. And when you have a lot of them that are kind of the same, but where people are going to look and say, okay, I like Wright, I like Lloyd, I like Benson, I like Braylon Allen, maybe. I'm not going to take one here because I think I can get one, in the next. I can get one of those guys in the next rounds, and that just kind of pushes those guys down in the NFL draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Round 3 is excuse me, Pearsall, Corley, Nix, Allen, Irving, Holker, Johnson, Baker, McMillan, Estime, Walker, and Rice. Where's the reach here?
I'll say I do like your Pearsall pick. He's a guy who's kind of getting some steam behind him, had a really good combine yesterday as well. So I think that's a good pick at 3-1. Again, I think it's, don't want to pick on Shia LaBeouf there, but I think it's probably Bucky Irving because he, like I said, did not have a good combine. I think that's going to, I think he's going to be kind of pigeonholed as a kind of a one-trick pony, pass receiving only kind of running back. I think that's going to hurt his draft capital. So I think that's going to kind of push him down.
Yeah, I think coming up here very shortly, and not to brag about myself here or my Florida Gators, because even though he wasn't a Florida Gator to start with, he's ending his career as a Florida Gator. Pearsall will not be available at 3-1 here in the very near future. He'll be going in the back end of the second round. I do believe he's going to get some decent draft capital, and he will be over some of these running backs that we're seeing go in the second round. Fourth round looks like this. He's feeling targeted, Joel. He's feeling targeted. Fourth round looks like this. James Thrash, Frank Gore Jr., Burton Bell, Spencer Rattler, Stanette, Milton, and say his last name for me here.
It's Isaac Garendo.
Davis, Washington, Davis, and Wilson. Who's the reach here? And do not say that it's Spencer Rattler, because then I feel like Shiloh will be coming through.
Nah, I mean, yeah, Rattler's gonna be fine. Is a 4th-round quarterback. If he gets drafted inside the 4th round, that's fine. 4th round, is what it is. Kind of the same with Milton. I don't expect those guys to be starters, but at this point, why not in a super flex? Why not just take them and stash them and see what happens? I'll say the reach is Sinnott. I think he's going to be more looked at as more of a blocking tight end. He's got the ability to kind of flex out, but I think he's going to be seen by the NFL as more of a blocking tight end. I don't think he's going to be much of a fantasy factor. So I'll go there. It may be Ray Davis. It's a guy I like a little bit. He's really small. Great backstory. So kind of a sentimental favorite, but not sure he's going to get. I mean, he may end up being kind of an undrafted guy. So it may be Ray Davis, but the guy, he's talented, but I don't think he really has NFL size.
Well, let's talk about the players that were not drafted. Ty is saying Cowing and Vidal, best undrafted players that we did not draft in this draft. Who is one or two players that you have on your board that did not get drafted right here?
Man, that's tough to see without seeing who's left. Cowing's a good one. He's a good player out of Arizona. Just trying to look and see who did not get taken.
Oh, Sleeper, we got to fix that. We can't even see it now. Oh,
yeah.
Boo.
Maybe Jace McClellan. Did he get drafted? The running back out of Alabama? I don't see him. I think he's someone who will end up getting, who probably should go in, who probably should get drafted. We're taking a 4-round rookie draft. Probably someone who should get drafted. Right
on. Well, Joel, I mean, we did this in like 22 minutes. And I'm super stoked about that. Everybody in the chat, everybody that joined us mocking, really appreciate that. Joel, what do you got? What are you working on with Club Fantasy?
You can find myself and Michael Sicoli every Sunday. Right now, we're doing every Sunday morning on the Dynasty After Party, talking Dynasty. This is what we do. So last week we talked about the kind of preview of the combine, and this week Josh and myself talked about the combine results. So yeah, every week we're doing that. You'll see some write-ups coming up. Recently gone through, kind of done an off-season, just kind of where position analysis, where everybody's sitting for Dynasty, kind of put them into some loose tiers, stuff like that. So that's all out there. We'll have some kind of big picture, kind of Dynasty stuff coming up as well. So yeah, find everything at Club Fantasy and clubfantasyffl.com. Don't go to clubfantasy.com.
Don't do that.
But yeah, every Sunday morning right here on the Club Fantasy YouTube channel.
I had to ask Josh, why did you have to put the FFL in? He goes, go to clubfantasy.com and find out.
Exactly.
Well, I will have to say this. The series that you and Spicoli did doing the tiers was absolutely phenomenal. Great in-depth on that. And if you have not seen that, go over to the Club Fantasy FFL YouTube channel where you are currently at. Look at the archives there, and they are just a few weeks old. That was a great series that they did. Great insight on some of the players. There was a little back and forth between Joel and Spicoli as well. So that was kind of
the tight end one we did kind of live, just kind of building consensus tiers between us. So that was fun. Yeah, good time.
Yeah, so we had fun doing it. Appreciate you, Shy. We will definitely be doing more of these. We'll get Joel on again. We'll have some other guests on as well. Maybe we'll get the big boss on. Don't forget that coming very, very soon on Mondays, the Mock It Like It's Hot is coming back. It will be your fearless leaders of all of the Club Fantasy. Josh will be on there. You'll have Ryan Weiss on there. Faith to be on there sometimes. I think Faith does that as well. So, but yeah, keep checking us out over at clubfantasyffl.com, right here on the YouTube channel, over on Twitch as well. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and the subscribes. Of course, the bell notification so you know when we go live with any of the content as well. For Joel, for myself, Have a great night. Appreciate everybody joining us for this. Good night, y'all.